Hello again, my spiritual rebels out there. I am woman. Um, this is actually part 4 of me stepping out into my light. So I want to read the response from my older brother Rogelio to this me stepping out into the light. Here goes. This is Rogelio. Stop forwarding me those hate-filled emails to me. You writing and acting like you are some kind of saint. Dude, we grew up together. We know each other. I know how diabolical and manipulative you are. You actually matured into a better human being than all of us when you got married to John. But like the first time, you probably don't remember, you hooked up again with that demon Derek, and you revert back to your diabolical and evil self. Go live and stay with that piece of shit dude and stop destroying the lives of John and his mother and other people, and fuck off. You see? This is what I'm talking about. You have to approach it with love and compassion, right? First of all, like just hearing this response already, these are the things that used to trigger me in the past, and I stayed in hiding, right? But you have to allow people to express those things, because at the end of the day, they're only talking about themselves, right? A lot of diabolical stuff. It tells you where that person is mentally, and what they're surrounded, the type of fear and agony they're surrounded by. And I want to point out, because as he wrote this, these are the type of racism I grew up with. And even before I tackled that, this was written to me in response to the letters I have read. But I want to read 2 months before my divorce, the same brother has sent me another message. 2 months before my divorce. This was sent July 25th, 2020, right? I filed for divorce in September 2020. And I'm just going to read the portion, right, that was dedicated to me, because it's a long letter. So first, it was written in French. I'm going to read the French version for those of you who speak French, and then I'm going to translate it. Jenny, this is my name, Jenny, Jennifer. Jenny, pour moi, tu as été et continues d'être une lumière pour mes ténèbres. Tu ne m'as jamais jugée, même dans les moments les plus bas. Et il y en a eu. Lorsque je fuyais mes responsabilités, tu as assumé le rôle de mère et de grande sœur pour moi, Kali et Cheska. Même quand tu as eu tes problèmes et soucis, tu donnes toujours une épaule sur laquelle on peut pleurer. Tu rends tout simple et sans effort. Pour moi, tu es déjà un être illuminé et une mère incroyable pour Anne et une femme forte pour Josh. Je ne peux pas énumérer toutes les instances où tu as été à mon secours. Merci du fond du cœur. So basically, he's saying, Jen, for me, you have been and still remain a light in my darkness. You have never judged me, even in moments, in my lowest moments. And there has been a few when I was running away from my responsibility. You assumed the role of mother and older sister for me, Cheska and Kali. Even when you had your own problems and concerns, you always gave a shoulder on which I can cry. You've made everything simple and effortless. For me, you are already a being, an awakened being, and an incredible mother to Anne, and a strong woman for John. I cannot list all these instances where you have saved me. Thank you for the bottom of my heart. So these two contrasts, you see, this is why I put everything in writing, exactly. Because it's been hard. The journey is facing those type of masks. And I am so grateful for this response that my brothers gave me, because it enlightened a lot of things, like the level of racism. When I started dating Derek at the age of 15, my brother used to harass me, and he has harassed and bullied me for 3 years about dating someone who was black, and would taunt me with my cousin. There was a cousin. I will explain all of that. They have been trying to whiten the family, and I was darkening it by dating someone black. You see, yes, it's like you have to expose those things, because it's like in staying quiet, I enabled this behavior, you see. And this behavior, even, and I know where it came from. I saw my mom. She used to do the same thing to the maids, She used to put the maids on the floor and list us. All four of us would be there, and while she bullied the maid about the color and the fact that she was lower than us and poor, So I witnessed all of that when I was little. And that's what made me put my armor up. And as my brother, it's like the level of jealousy that he faced, in me dating Derek, because it's like the love, the love I felt for this guy was so obvious, because I hadn't, and he used to taunt me that this guy was poor, that this guy was black, and he didn't have anything, he just had a bicycle. And I used to respond to him, at least he has a bicycle, that's, for me, it was like, it was beautiful, who cares, he had my heart. And he built resentment, right? And this is what I'm saying, it's enabled by the environment, because even my mom used to call my aunt in Romania, her only sister, and express to her that my dad only married her because she was Caucasian, right? And using that as a superiority, which is true. I witnessed that in my dad as well, how he used us, to validate this air of superiority. Not only he was an ambassador and a diplomat, but also, his kids were mixed, and he was married to a Caucasian, which made that superiority even higher, right? And it was enabled by the environment, right? Because it's like, and those are the result of colonialism, right? This unconscious behavior that the Caucasian is superior and dominant, and that if anybody marries someone who's Caucasian, they already automatically get that statue of superiority, which is mentioned in my brother's email. So when I was married to John, and I was drinking myself to sleep, and I was in deep agony, for him, I was superior to everybody, all of them, and I was better and I was successful. So when I stood up for myself, and the only way, if you watch my awakening journal about my sexual abuse, where I hid my heart away after this experience with Derek, the only way out of my marriage, when Mother Cosmos takes you on that path, is to remember, and to reclaim my heart, my love, right? Because even Derek will say things to me about, are you the lightest one in your family, yeah, I suffered a lot of racism from my surrounding. And one way, when my brother used to do these things when I was 15, and I observed all of that, one way to affirm that in my reality, the first thing I did, right, I observed all of that, and I was like, it ends with me. So we had a maid in the house, and I sat with the maid and I observed things she was going, because sometimes she would get in fight with one of us, and out of loyalty to each other, we will all gang up against her and beat her. you know. And I started noticing the behavior when my brother started talking like that. You know, I started distancing myself from my family because I observed this severe racism behavior, you know, in saying that, you know, dating someone black is a negative because I was supposed to be superior to all of them. And even my brother would say to me, um, after imposing in justifying the abuses he imposed on the mother of his child, he will say that she should be grateful because he gave her a light-skinned kid, you know? So she should be grateful for everything he put her through. Anyway, so in affirming that in my teenage years, I sat with our maid at home. I sat with her and I said, I want to accomplish something and I need her to stand by me. You know, it's going to be hard, but I want her to trust me and to stand by me, you know. So I plot with her that after one day, you know, for dinner, because she will not sit with us on the table, she will be on the floor in the kitchen. Dinner time, she will eat separate in the kitchen with my grandma, you know. And as I tried to approach my grandma to come and eat with us on the dining room table, you know, my grandma who felt, like I told you, who prostrated herself in front of my dad every day and presented herself to be inferior to us, you know, because of the color of our skin and the fact that she was a woman, you know, I decided instead to prove to her, you know, to expose those facades. So I told the maid, tonight, when we eat dinner, you will sit next to me at the table and you will eat on as all of us because you are the same as me, you know. And she was scared. She was very frightened. And I told her to stand with me, that it was me who was getting her to do that, you know. And that night came. You know, put the dinner on the table. And I told her, I set the table for her and I made her sit right next to me on the table. And I said, we will all eat together. And as she came to sit next to me, everybody looked up, all my siblings, even my dad. And I stood up to my dad and I was like, you know, you have to expose it. I was like, yeah, she's gonna eat on the table just like us because she might be black like you are. I was talking to my dad. I was like, she might be black like you are. She might be a woman. She might not have as much money as you claim to have, but she's the same. And she's a human being and she will be treated as such. He kept his head down. All of them kept their head down. And she ate with us that same night. She ate at the table and the maid, she felt so good. I was like, after the dinner, you know, she couldn't believe it. She was looking at me as if, you know, I had, you know, did something, I had done something that she has never seen, right? But the next night, what happened is that my grandma, you know, as we were eating, because she sat again next to me, we set the table and I was like, from now on, you know, you will be treated as a human being. You are just like me and we will all eat together. But then my grandma came from the kitchen because she was eating on the floor alone, you know, and the maid, you know, was sitting at the table with us. So she came as we were all eating and she dragged the maid and hit her, you know, and insulted her and screamed at her. And I stood up and I was like, Dad, Nana cannot do that, you know. And my dad said nothing. He put his head down. All my siblings put their head down because they felt the same way. They were superior, you know. It was not right. And it is then that I realized who really had power in the house, in this house. It was not my dad, you know. He was just pretending. He was enabled by his own mother, you know, my Nana. Yeah, that's when I really discovered the power of women, you know, how they put up their facade and they talk about, you know, victimizing themselves, but we really know, you know, we know who holds the power, you know. So this is one way my journey with my grandmother, and racism in my family has
You'll
taken.
need to unlock your iPad first.
Okay.
There's no one in your contacts named Maya.
This is how my grandmother has exposed herself, and my dad has exposed himself. These are the type of racism. So I'm not surprised by this response from my brother, and I could have only faced this because of Victor. I couldn't have overcome this without Victor, because this is why I said every challenge that you are encountering is a blessing that is hidden. I complain about the type of agony dating Victor is, but really it made me stronger because I observe when these men from Benin hide behind marrying Caucasians, the type of how they hide from themselves. They're not aware of the unconscious, how they're doing it unconsciously, but then it creates agony, because it's in navigating Victor who felt like a brother to me. You see, you have friends around you who you call like your sister, like a brother, but it's a way of Mother Cosmos to make you view traumas and things that you have endured in your childhood from a detached perspective. Yeah. So I am so grateful for Victor. I complain. This guy got smacked hard with my golden dick here. He has made some manipulation, and I will expose all of that. So I am so grateful for this experience with him, because yeah, he helped me develop real compassion for my brother. I have always observed these things, but as I said, this type of conditioning where you grow up in a family where your dad tells you that you have to always stand by family no matter what, whether they're wrong or not. This has been embedded into me, where my loyalty is about staying quiet and putting my head down, because those were the men. They were the one who was going to lead. um, so all I had to do as a woman was just keep my head down and do as I'm told. um, yeah, so navigating Victor has helped me to observe uh, uh, how our mom played a big role into enabling my brother to get away with this type of behavior, right? Because he manipulated women because of the color of his skin and the darkness, even. And it is only then, in navigating all of that from a detached perspective, that I was able to observe that it was my brother who planted that seed. When my mom passed away after her suicide, it was my brother, in order to punish my dad and to hurt him, has started going to voodoo priest. This voodoo priest, like using this type of religion to inflict hurt. And one of the things that he pushed us to do was to say that he can bring mom back, that the voodoo priest can bring our mother back. So for him, he needed us to steal money from our dad so he can pay the voodoo priest, and that our mom will appear very soon after that. And that's when we started stealing money from my dad, and it created even a bigger space of resentment and abuse from my father, who couldn't understand why we stole money from him. Uh, and that was it. So I will expand a little bit further on that. So, but I was grateful. It's like you get these type of messages and response for sharing and stepping in your light, but it's just people exposing themselves, and it's with love and compassion that you have to say, okay. And it was very interesting. It was very interesting because at a point when I was going out with Derek, after Derek came back, I was going out. He started telling me that he had a dream about my brother, and it's then that I started paying attention, right? Because my family, my brother, armed. Even before that, there was a phase where, as I'm going through my own awakening, I used to rely on my brother because he navigated these spirituality things, as you can see. From a very young age, he started this, but from a place of total disconnect and woundedness. So you attract this fear and self-condemnation, right? That's how he approached spirituality. And as I shared with him, because I used psychedelics were a very big part of my experience and my tutoring and training from Mother Cosmos, right? So as I expressed to my brother, because I had a very vivid experience where I had a golden crown on my head, and there was, as I went through certain type of meditation, there was a heat. My body overheated, and it was very frightening. I was seeing these things happening, and I went to him and I shared this experience. And the level of jealousy, like he disappeared. He hung up, he never talked to me again. And that's when he started saying that he hid, and he went to my younger sister, Cheska. And that's when they started, both of them coming. And even Cheska calling me and telling me that she blocked Derek on Facebook. I didn't even know they were following each other on Facebook. And I laughed when she told me she blocked Derek. I was like, who the fuck cares about what you think about who I'm dating and who I'm not dating, She started saying, he's cheating on his girlfriend and his family and he's damaging. I'm like, what the fuck? How the fuck do you know what him and I are doing? How do you know the type of understanding this person has with his girlfriend and his children for you to project this type of negativity on him? The people are bored out of their fucking mind, and they come in and they tell you how it is that you have to live your life and how you are doing wrong because they are clueless and bored in their own life. So I will expand a little bit further on Cheskas, because it's beautiful. You have to step into your truth. You have to smack these people with your golden dick, because that's how you affirm yourself in this reality. If you let people control you and manipulate you, and Mother Cosmos always uses your family to get you to navigate, to shape you and to gear you towards the best version of yourself. And most of us get lost into that because it's like, it's family, you have to be there. Without them, what are you gonna do? So it took me to learn how to, and even with Victor, this is what I'm saying, I'm grateful because it is with Victor that I finally started speaking about my spirituality. I talked about the Carl Jung, the books I've read. He was studying theology, and I talked about Alan Watts, and we read the Kabbalion several times together, and he gave his perspective. And as I shared my perspective, this guy will take my perspective, write a poetry and write about it to present himself as this enlightened being, this awakened person. And I would challenge him. I was like, that's not even what I said to you, and you're writing it wrong. And he would go erase it. And then he would tell me, maybe you and I should write the book together. I'm like, buddy, you focus on your mathematics, okay? Focus on your book of mathematics. Let me be, okay? So that has helped me really step out because I have never dated a man with whom I really spoke about these things. Most men, John, every time I watch Alan Watts, I watch Oprah, because Oprah had Super Soul Sundays where she invited several spiritual and authorities, and that helped me to really observe how people talk out there, how people do things, how people pretend to be awakened. As you can see for my brother, 2 months before my divorce, I was this illuminated person, and you say all these things about me. And then when I divorced and now I'm dating Derek, I became this diabolical being because Derek is black, right? And even as I tried to fend for his independence by bringing him to Romania and getting his Romanian papers, because he was born in Romania and he faced the racism of our grandmother. Yeah, he faced it hardcore. He used to call me and whine about it. And I would tell him, yeah, this is what you've created. Now you see where mom came from and why mom was running away. And he used to write me hatred emails that used to make me cry at night, right? About, and I thought that he was going to leave and blah, blah, blah. And I told him, you leave Romania without your papers, you're on your own. That's your choice. You have free will, it's for you to decide. But I'm doing this for you, because I supported, I paid for everything so he can find his own independence and work wherever and travel Europe with assistant. So, I'm going through this in summary, but I will expand on this later. So do not get lost in resentment, right? At this point, when you exit and emerge out of the cocoon phase, right? You know better. You've been prepared for this. People are going to expose themselves naturally, effortlessly. You have to stand your ground and don't nourish people's fear and self-condemnation with more hatred. You have to nourish it with love. You have to nourish with compassion, right? Because that's how you keep boundaries. You keep boundaries that way. You don't get lost because these are the people you have been binding yourself to. This is why I have been waking up for years since my childhood in agony. Nobody could understand. They could not see me. They could not see who I am. And I've been wasting time keeping myself in cages to sustain and enable this family. So as you step down, they're all going to come, and they're going to come hard. Stand your ground. Surround yourself with love. You matter. You are here. You are, right? So you have to keep affirming that, right? I'm gonna make the next video to show you how my sister Cheska has come at me as well. So that will be the next one. So if you are out there, and as you step out in your light and you are encountering these things, stand your ground. You are not alone. Let me smack some love into your reality. This is my power, as I am one with the cosmos. And no matter which tone you choose, it's like people are going to tell you, it's like someone saying, as the thunder strike, that the thunder is too powerful and too loud, that, Mother Nature should not be, striking so hard. Just be you. No matter what people say, stand in your truth. Speak it, because you are love. You are a love being. Love doesn't need to be trapped, doesn't need to pretend to be anything. It speaks for itself. My presence speaks for itself. As you said, these people free, they keep chasing you, but it's understandable because they're attracted. Their heart is like, attracted to your light. They want a contest. They're like jealous. They don't understand why it is you that has to step in that light, right? But you have to surround them with compassion. You have to surround them with love, because it has nothing to do with you, right? They're only speaking about their own agony. So you have to allow that expression to take place, because that's the only way they can look at themselves. And that also validate, your own journey, because these are the things that you have been facing and you have been trying to talk about and to expose. So this is how Mother Cosmos guides us. Nothing is against you. Everything is always working out for you. And it is time that you start seeing it. It is time that you stop victimizing yourself, because nobody can hurt you. Nobody can hurt you. They can only do it with your own approval. Okay? So I'm gonna do the next video, and we'll keep processing and transmuting these energies from a place of love and compassion, because it is time to change things on the planet. It is time you discover your real family, right? It is time that you know that there's only love. There's only love. I am woman.